Coming up, I thought the idea of having a deputy is literally that they deputise for you during your absence. But in the case of this rotten, incompetent and couldn't give a toss government, apparently the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister are perfectly at liberty to go off sunning themselves on a beach at the same time, even during a historic global crisis, such as the fall of Afghanistan to the regressive and repressive Taliban. But as well as failing in his core brief of deputising for the Prime Minister, Dominic Raab has also failed as Foreign Secretary and has a political rap sheet as long as your arm. Stay tuned. At the time of filming, apart from being the nominal deputy to the Prime Minister, Dominic Raab also holds the senior cabinet position of Foreign Secretary. Senior civil servants in his department advised him last Friday to make urgent contact with his Afghan opposite number as the Taliban were nearing Kabul. His officials told him that he needed personally to request assistance from the Afghan government to rescue interpreters who had worked alongside the British forces there. Raab couldn't be asked to get up off his sunbed in Crete and let his ouzo get warm, and so delegated the important call to his junior, the disgraced, appalling but now ennobled Lord Zach Goldsmith. But Raab's opposite number, the Afghan Foreign Minister Hanif Atmar, declined to deal with this vacuous non-entity from the House of Lords and insisted he should be talking to Dominic Raab himself. They eventually spoke on the Saturday, wasting precious time just prior to the Taliban forces taking control of Kabul on the Sunday. On that Sunday, Raab was spotted at Crete's five-star Amarandis hotel, whose marketing blurb describes it as a sparkling boutique resort for the privileged and perceptive. Privileged? Definitely. Perceptive? I don't think so. Raab's incompetence, laziness and couldn't care less attitude has most probably cost lives, and there are calls from across the political spectrum for him to resign. As I film this video, Raab's response to being asked if we could expect his resignation was a simple no. He also said that after 18 months of a very gruelling, demanding schedule, he thought it was right to try to take some leave. Raab, mate, if you can't cope with the demands of your job, please step aside and let someone more capable take over. I've not been able to take a holiday for 8 years, and I swear that if lives were depending on me making a phone call, I would bloody well make it, not delegate it to some vacuous assistant. And of course, the world is especially worried about the lives of Afghan women who, after their taste of freedom, will once again be subjected to the most repressive rules governing their behaviour, dress and their rights to work and study. The Taliban see women who want to work and study as anti-Islamic feminists. And in 2011, Raab famously described some feminists as obnoxious bigots, claiming that men were getting a raw deal. So maybe we shouldn't be at all surprised that he didn't do more to thwart the advances of the misogynist Taliban. Honestly, I am so angry at this Tory complacency, this disregard for those less fortunate than themselves, and this latest evidence that all of Boris Johnson's corrupt cabinet are only in it for the money. Dominic Raab, of course, was one of the more swivel-eyed Brexiters, serving as Brexit Secretary following the resignation of David Thick-as-Mince Davis. Raab is known as the Turnip throughout the European Parliament, one, because turnip in Dutch is Raab, and two, because of the stupendous ignorance he displayed during the Brexit negotiations, including the famous admission that he hadn't quite understood the full extent of how much UK trade relies on the Dover-Calais crossing. He also famously said that taking the knee was derived from Game of Thrones and felt it was a symbol of subjugation. Raab was also part of that group of senior Tories who colluded with the worst elements of the tabloid press in putting the safety and even the very lives of judges at risk as he attempted to paint them as enemies of the people, following the High Court judgment on the case brought against him by Gina Miller, forcing Raab to put the Article 50 notification of leaving the European Union to Parliament for proper debate and a vote. He said that the advisory referendum had given him a clear mandate and it was disappointing that the court had chosen to ignore their decision. Not only does Raab not understand that Britain is an island whose quickest link to the continent is Dover-Calais, but he also doesn't understand British law. Those judges did their job to the letter, applying the law, forcing Raab, against his will, to put Brexit to a parliamentary vote. You know, the very parliament whose sovereignty he claimed to be fighting for as a Brexiter. Such astoundingly eye-watering hypocrisy. He went on to accuse the judges of being out of touch and of trying to block Brexit. These ignorant and petulant remarks of a sore loser led to death threats against our judiciary. This sort of thing is usually restricted to dictatorships in the developing world, but has now become commonplace in post-Brexit Britain, as the courts seem to be the only element of our democracy holding this government to account, since political opposition has gone AWOL under Starmer. Raab was also one of the authors of Britannia Unchained, along with Liz Cut-and-Paste Truss, Quasi Crazy Kwarteng, and Pretty Cruella Patel. A book, by the way, that warned that the lazy British working class were the worst idlers in the world, allowing this country to continue its slide into mediocrity. Their words, not mine. Amazing that so many working class people are voting for Tories like Raab, who clearly regard working class people with total disdain. That said, Raab's majority in his constituency of Esher and Walton has shrunk from over 32,000 in 2010 to less than 3,000 in 2019. If anyone questions whether a progressive alliance is a good idea at the next general election, bear these 4 words in mind. Dominic the Turnip Raab.